consciousness, from a neuroscience perspective, it's part of our brain that has evolved to create a self-model, a model of our own perceptions, a model of our own feelings, a model of our decisions as a unitary decision maker. Okay? And that is a very useful model to have to plan, to help you plan. Most people would say, okay, well, you're throwing out spirituality. Obviously, if you accept that type of model, there is no spirituality. There's nothing that could be farther from the truth. Because if you accept that model of consciousness, and if you really contemplate upon it, you start to lose your preconceptions of what the self is. Hypothetically, forget the technical details, if I were to create a copy of me, and that copy of me were sitting across the room from me, from a scientific perspective, we would not share any thoughts. If I was poked in the arm, he wouldn't scream. If he was poked in the arm, I wouldn't scream. If somebody said, oh, I've created a perfect copy of you, now are you ready to be shot in the head and die? I should, from a scientific perspective, look at that and say, well, before the copy was made, all of my memories, all of my history, all of my things that I want to do in the world, that would not have been done. And so my reluctance should be based, at least in part, on the horrible tragedy of all of that lifetime of experiences being snuffed out, erased, and disconnected from the future of the world. That's death in my mind. That's what death is. And so if I have a copy of me over here, then I should lose all of those, should I not? At a cognitive level, I will not have died. I will not have died in that situation. And yet, if somebody was sitting there with a gun to my head, I will flinch. I will flinch. I will want to get out of that. Every core being, every instinct of my being will be, please don't shoot me. Let me go deeper down the rabbit hole, if you will. This copy example, where there is a person that I should identify with. I should identify that as everything that I care about. I should want him to live equally as much as I want me and this body to live. And yet, we are designed to not accept that. We are designed to have our instincts say, no, this body, this perspective, right now, save it. That's somebody else across the room. I don't have anything to do with them. That instinct is wrong. Neuroscience and cognitive science, as it gets better and better, this is the conclusion that it will absolutely what will remain. That instinct that we have for our unitary self will be seen as more of an instinct that was put into us by evolution as opposed to something real. And once that gets lost, then you ask the question, well, what if that wasn't a perfect copy? You know, he just didn't want to drive cars anymore. You know, that seems kind of weird, but you know, if he had everything else, that would probably be pretty similar to me. Once you start going down that rabbit hole, okay, where you say, okay, that what really is my essence is the stuff that my life experiences that have been built into my brain, then you start to see that those life experiences have happened in all these other people. There's a philosopher, Daniel Kolak, that wrote a book called I Am You, And it is a fantastic exposition of this particular take, that in a sense, we are all the same individual. If we understand that in some very deep essence we are all the same person, then it will be quite natural to rewrite our current ethical system. It will make obvious sense that we should not torture ourselves. It will make obvious sense that we should not exploit ourselves. I don't think that we want to say, we're going to, it's okay to torture somebody if they mutilate animals, but it's not okay to torture somebody if they are concerned for the poor. No, it's not okay to torture anybody. We have an understanding of that. It's not okay to cause that kind of pain to anybody, ever. And so that means that you really are not tying your morals to the data on the hard drives. You're tying it more to the very idea of somebody being conscious. I mean, what is the golden rule? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Don't do unto others as you would not want them to do unto you. It's derivable from the idea that that person is you. That person is you. So you're not, just as you would not stab your own finger, you should not stab that other person. And the fact that you're not going to, that this brain is not going to feel it, should have as little relevance to you not stabbing that person as you setting up, let's say 5 days from now, yourself getting stabbed. Because we don't take that perspective of our future self. We are animals that are built with faulty intuitions about self. And when we realize that, we will come to a spiritual understanding of our deep interconnectedness with one another. Not in the sense of ESP or anything nonsensical like that, but in the sense that that person's consciousness is really just another reflection of the same type of consciousness that we have. And there isn't really a moral boundary that we should be putting between the two.